Greetings, everyone. My name is Shepard Smith, Head of Marketing here at Gravitate, and I'd like to thank you all for joining us today. The topic of today's conversation is meeting 2020 goals with better data analytics. And while we have quite a bit to discuss in the next 30 minutes, we welcome questions and invite you to submit them at any time using the written chat function you'll see on the right-hand side of your screen. Everyone in the audience is muted, and we'll be sending all of you a link to a recording of this webinar afterwards. We have two presenters today, Rob Miller and Brandon Moishan. Rob is a CAE who many of you know both as a senior association executive at the Trade Association 340B Health and as president and co-founder of Avectra, the company that invented the modern web-based AMS with the launch of NetForum. Brandon is a subject matter expert who's been focusing on associations and analytics since 2010 and discusses data analytics with member industry professionals every single day. Rob, I'll now turn the presentation over to you.
Thank you, Shepard. I really appreciate that. So we at Gravitate believe members stay more connected when their association knows them better. And why is that? Well, because you communicate with them about things they are most interested in when you know them well. You also tailor your benefits to best meet their needs. And when you become really good at it, you anticipate what they need next. I'm probably preaching to the choir here, as I'm sure all of you are striving to get to know your members better. So what are the impediments to making that happen? Well, we attended a number of conferences over the last couple of months: the ASAE Tech Show, the Community Brands XPerience Conference, the Higher Logic Hug, and the Association Trends AMS Fest. And we collected a lot of data challenges for the people who came to our booth, and they're organized here. And I thought it was really interesting because my suspicion is that you probably see the challenges that you have at your organization. You know, the highest one was obviously around data silos and integrations, and then one that actually surprised me that was quite as high was the duplicates and inaccurate data. Some of the organizations that are a little bit further along with their data analytics initiatives are more concerned with archiving data, combining historical data, that type of thing. And then, of course, we had a number of miscellaneous ones, including someone who listed Steve as their data challenge. I'm sure we all have a Steve at our organization, but we thought that was rather funny. But these are challenges that keep you from successfully getting to know your members. Do you really know your members? Is it somewhat, or is it intimately? And if you are just looking at the data in your AMS, I have to say you can't know it all, because we researched all of our clients and found that only 20% of the association's data is in their AMS. So if you're only looking at your AMS data, you don't know them as intimately as you would like to. And how do you currently make decisions? Are you doing it from your gut, or are you doing it with confidence? We help you understand your members intimately, and we help you make decisions with confidence. How do you get to know your members better? We make analytics available to everyone to start. We provide exceptional member insights, we simplify the complexity of the data, and we provide actionable next steps. We also identify bad data and transform and improve that data. So what are those expected outcomes from implementing a product like Nucleus? First of all, you get to a point where you have a single source of truth, where you can really trust your data. We expect you to have improved efficiency. So if you're doing things with Excel or PowerPoint, you should be able to stop doing that. And you should be able to make educated decisions on the types of interactions you're having with your members. And what should happen with them is, as you're making those steps forward, they should have surprise and delight. They will be pleased if you're engaging with them in a way that they want to be engaged with. And that's going to only grow their engagement and grow their loyalty to you. And also important to the association, we expect that the revenue you generate from each association should grow. So how does Nucleus work? There's 4 key components. There's the data lake, where we store all the data, and we can take in all kinds of data, both structured and unstructured. And because of it's built with new technology, it can take massive amounts of data. The next component of the system, the processing pipeline, is where the real magic happens. That's where we blend all the data together and make it very usable and meaningful for our intuitive interface, which is the next component of the solution. We also have the last component, which is where the real ROI happens, where you can really work with the data. You do all this blending and working with it, and it allows you to segment the data down and ultimately get it out of the system so you can do more with it. And where does the data come from? Well, it comes from all the various solutions that are serviced in the association space. We've worked with well over 30 different solutions, and if you don't see yours in the list, don't worry, we can have it connected up to Nucleus. So we're going to be getting to the demo in just a moment. When Brandon goes through it with you, he's going to really hit on what I would call 3 different types of visualizations, some that are informative, some that are insightful, and some that are predictive. So first of all, he's going to hit on some informative ones. For example, one like retention history by member type. Quick view information that can give you a lot of important information about your member. That's really the informative type of visualization. He may also show you some insightful ones, such as total member value, where you're comparing how much a member pays for their membership as opposed to what type of value they're receiving it for it. And then another one is the predictive, and that is where you get to the most sophisticated type of visualization. And in this particular case, maybe it's the member renewals, where based on a couple of selections, you can start making very strong predictions as to whether an individual or an organization renews. So with particularly the insightful and predictive capabilities, Nucleus starts to provide those actionable recommendations for you so you can work with the members in the way they want to be worked with and really show them that you know them very well. There's a couple of other high value capabilities that I wanted to point out in the system. We have member-facing analytics. That allows you to place these analytics behind your website or in a mobile app so your members can access that data. And we can do that with no additional charges for user licenses. We have sentiment and semantic analysis, so that way you can evaluate text, maybe posts in a community or in a survey tool. We have an online data dictionary. We have connectors for Power BI Tableau. So if you have technical staff who are already using those systems, they can connect to our data lake and work with that blended data. And then finally, if you have somebody who still loves their SQL, we have the ability to allow you to do SQL access against our data lake, even though the data lake is not a SQL database. So that's pretty cool. So as I said, we believe members stay connected when their association knows them better. And Nucleus is the platform that enables you to know your members. Nucleus blends all your data together, Nucleus uncovers insights, and Nucleus facilitates the next step so you can take action. And we, through that, help you understand your members intimately and make decisions with confidence. So with that, I'm going to switch gears, turn it over to Brandon, and he is going to give you a couple of quick presentations, a couple of use cases with real client data, and I hope you enjoy it. So with that, I'll turn it over to Brandon.
Great, thank you, Rob. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to hop into a couple of Nucleus sites here, and where I'm going to start as we kind of walk throughout the sites today. I'm going to, I'm going to show you some of the ways that our clients use Nucleus to inform about, where they are in terms of their KPIs, their metrics, their goals. Then we'll move into, how they gained insights into their membership in order to achieve those goals. And then lastly, we'll talk a little bit about how they use some of the functionalities here within Nucleus to predict future events. So first things first, where I like to start is, when you log into Nucleus, the first screen that you're going to see is going to look a little bit like this one. And the one that we're on right now is something that we call key indicators. And so there are a number of different ways that we can help our clients analyze the information that's flowing into the data lake from all of their source systems. And so, there are a number of different areas. So when we look at the main navigation button up here in the top left, it's going to show us all of the different ways, some of the different business areas that our clients are bringing in information into Nucleus. And so starting with key indicators, this is where we're going to kind of be bringing in the best of the best visualizations that will give us an idea from an organization-wide health standpoint as to how we're tracking against particular goals that we have. And so first things first, we'll see, here we have a total members card, right? So this is just going to give us an idea of what are the total number of members that we have as of right now. And the reason I like to point this out is because what's happening here is that we're placing your organization-wide accepted definition of what a member is behind this visualization, so that whenever anybody comes to the data and when they're looking for that member account, they're not going to be coming into it not knowing all the qualifications that determine what a member is, right? That's something that a lot of our clients have struggled with in the past. Different people use different criteria, or maybe different departments, right, use different criteria depending on what's important to them. So we're putting in a little bit of embedded data governance so that everyone's always starting from that same, single starting point, source of truth. The next thing you'll see is we're pulling in data from professional development events or total subscriptions, right? Page views of pages that are important or the most viewed pages on the website, mailing rates over the last 3 months, and then their annual fall conference, how the registration and revenue has come in, over the past 3 years, right? And here we'll see a KPI or a goal statistic. One of the things that I like to point out here is that this particular carousel is, is designed or, put into place so that key members of this organization's executive staff, or maybe even their board, can log in and take a look at the, the organization health, at this higher level. So that's kind of the first thing that I wanted to walk you through here. The other thing that I'll mention is that this particular organization also gave access into their chapters or their regions into being able to visualize this information. So through using something that we call role-based access, you're able to determine who should have access into what visualizations and what they can see when they log into Nucleus. So the next thing that I will show you here, let me just switch client sites, is a story of another client who basically, came to us a few years ago and really wanted to dive down deeper into figuring out how to correct one of their problem areas. And so here we're looking at a membership carousel, and the problem area that they were specifically trying to target was their members in 0 to 4 years of tenure. And so as you can see here, when we're walking through the baseline of their carousel here, like the high level visualizations, you're going to see that there are, their members in 0 to 4 years of tenure is their largest bucket of their membership. So it's a problem if these particular people are not engaging with them, not renewing, those types of things. So they really wanted to figure out how can we engage with them more effectively in order to keep them connected and keep them coming back, renewing, engaging with them. And so this started with a couple of different areas. And so first and foremost, we bring in all the information that we know about these members so that we can start understanding them better. So things like their geography, right? So where are they within the country, maybe within a particular state. If I explore down deeper into this visualization, it is a live visualization that allows me to select a particular area or state of, of the country that I want to click on. So here I've highlighted Pennsylvania, West Virginia, and Virginia, and it's giving me the member count here. So these are things that are informing us where our members are so that we know, which events we should invite them to, maybe which regional issues or topics they might be interested in hearing about from us, so on and so forth. You'll also notice that over here on the right-hand side of the screen are filters for me to go ahead and be able to filter down deeper into taking a look at specific dimensions of my membership. So if I wanted to go ahead and find members in that problem area, that 0 to 4 years of tenure, I can go ahead and check that off here. So now I'm filtering by only the members in 0 to 4 years of tenure, which are in those states that I've selected here on the region or on the state map. Right. The next thing that I'll point out is that down at the bottom of the screen, you do have access into the data table at any point in time when you're working within Nucleus to figure out exactly who those members are that are making up the visualizations above. So here I'm going to be able to see all of the members in 0 to 4 years of tenure, which were in the states that I selected. I can go ahead and reorganize the way that the columns are organized here. I can sort, I can filter, and basically do whatever I might do in Excel outside of actually changing the data that exists here, right here from within the data table tool within Nucleus. I can also take this list and download it into CSV, maybe use it in an email marketing campaign if there's an event that's happening in that region that I want to invite these members to. So the next thing I'll do is I'll go back here and I'm going to walk you through some of the other pieces of information that we're informing them about what they should be communicating to their members about. And so the next couple things here are things like members by setting, members by profession, and members by area of expertise. So this particular client works in the medical industry, so they have members who work in a variety of different settings, right? Some are in academia, some work in health systems, hospitals, or maybe they work in technology. They also have members who are a variety of different professions or have different areas of expertise. And so essentially what they're doing here is they're starting to kind of place their members into different segments so that they know what are the most important things for us to communicate about them with, right? So people in academia may be interested in different things than people in health information technology, so on and so forth. So these are some of the things that are informing us about who our members are. The next thing that we'll move into and where we start to go into some of the insights is when they brought in their information from their higher logic community as well. So here you can see there are a number of different, we call them carousels, and essentially they're the ways that our clients are choosing to organize their analytics here. There are a number of different carousels. One of them is the community one, where we can start looking at discussion activity that's happening within their community. And so when we look at the discussion activity here, we're going to see, again, on a high level, a number of different things that we're looking at from the community standpoint. But what I want to show you today is actually I'm going to explore into the discussion activity. And what it's going to allow me to do is take a look at, all of the new topics and replies that were happening in the community over a span of time, right? And I can adjust the span of time that I'm looking at with the slider down here at the bottom of the screen. And so essentially what we're able to do is gain some insights because we're now mingling our higher logic, our community data, with our AMS data. So now I can really start diving down deeper into segmenting my membership based off of things like my problem area, which was my 0 to 4 years of tenure, right? And so when I do that, it's going to show me all of the topics and replies that were posted by those particular people. And so essentially what this client did is they started to take a deeper dive down into their data and what it really meant for them as an organization. And so one of the columns that we're able to look at within this particular table here is this one, which is called parent name. And so essentially this shows us the topic or the community that the post was in. And so through doing a little bit of analysis on this particular column, this organization was able to determine that there are 4 key areas that members in 0 to 4 years of tenure were most interested in within their community. And so what they decided to do is take that information, right, take that insight that they gained and start doing a little bit more email campaigns around those things that they offer around those benefits or around those topics, right? They also started to take a look at the content of their events, right? Are there particular sessions that are about those topics at events that we can now highlight to this segment of our membership? And so from there, they were able to see an increase in retention for this particular segment of their membership by about 12%. But one of the really cool things is that it also bled over into other areas like their events. And so I'll show you an example of that in just a second. But one thing I want to highlight here is that we're only looking at members in 0 to 4 years of tenure here. Utilizing the filters or the dimensions of data that are coming from all the additional data sources, I'm also able to dissect this information by any segment or subgroup of my membership that I might want to take a look at. Right, and so moving on to the next kind of informative visualization about this particular use case, I want to move into their clinical informatics conference. And so this is an annual conference that they run. And as you can see here, through utilizing Nucleus and some of the insights they gained there, they were able to see, that they surpassed their goal in this particular year for 2019. So they're at 132.4% of their registrant goal. So the thing that I really want to show you here is that, again, we have kind of a baseline here at the top level where we're looking at some high level statistics of what's happening for this particular event. But I want to explore down deeper into this visualization so that we're taking a look at the way that the registrants are coming in over a span of time. And so here you're going to see, I call it a pace chart, but you might call it something different, right? So weeks out chart, 0 is where the event takes place, and 17 is 17 weeks out from the event. And just year over year, we're tracking the total number of registrants that are coming into the event. And so from when you come into the visualization, it's going to be the total number of registrants. But again, I'm now able to take any of those dimensions of data and start analyzing them further. And so because data flows into Nucleus in real time, one of the advantages to that is that when you're doing things like taking and analyzing your event registration, you're able to take into account changes or things that you might want to adjust much earlier on in the process than if you're waiting for a weekly registration report or something like that. And so I'm going to go ahead and filter down by that 0 to 4 years of tenure segment that we were talking about. And one of the things when we mouse over the registration, you'll see here is that when this particular client started with us in 2015, they had 5 members attend this conference or this annual event. And so in 2019, they've managed to grow that from 5 to 223 registrants in 0 to 4 years of tenure. So it's pretty astronomical growth in a short span of time through utilizing Nucleus in order to find insights and information about what these members might be most interested in. Okay. So the next example that I will walk through is an example of how we can use Nucleus to start predicting what your members will do. And that example has to do with engagement scoring. And so I'm going to walk you through one of our clients that utilizes engagement scoring. But essentially what it is we're taking engagement activities that are happening in the source systems that are being pulled into Nucleus. So those are things like your AMS, maybe your community, your email platform, whatever it is that you might be interacting with your members within, and then assigning a point value to each one of those interactions. So again, from the high level, we have a number of different areas of things that we can take a look at to inform us about what's happening as far as our engagement goes. So one of those things is kind of average engagement per member that's happening quarter over quarter. And so this just allows us to keep track of how we are performing, how are we staying on this same type of engagement level? Are we increasing? Are we decreasing? Those types of things. So the next area that we will take a look at then is that as you accumulate points, essentially the scoring algorithm is placing you into different buckets or spans of engagement. And so here you're going to see that there's a low, a medium, a high, and a very high. And so what this will allow us to do is predict, right, who has the most likelihood of renewing. So when we look at maybe people or members in medium, high, and very high have the highest likelihood of renewing, we might want to dive down deeper into our visualization here and start taking a look at what are the activities that these people are doing so that we can start encouraging maybe those in the no engagement or the low engagement categories to also start participating in those particular activities. So when I dive down deeper into this visualization, most of what I want to show you in here are a couple of different ways that this particular area of Nucleus works. One is that we're looking at, we can take a look at different quarters up here at the top of the screen. So again, as we're moving from quarter to quarter, it's going to allow me to keep track of how our engagement is performing. But also I want to show you the trend lines down here at the bottom of the screen. And so this is going to look at those different, again, buckets or spans of engagement that we have established here within the platform. And so you'll see that as we kind of look from where this engagement scoring started and we move along, that certain buckets have either grown or shrank or whatever it is. So we're keeping track of, right, our medium bucket has been growing. The next thing that you can do is when you start looking at the data table down here at the bottom of the screen, there are going to be a number of different ways that you can utilize this to start, figuring out who your retention challenges might be, as well as figuring out what are the different things that your members should be taking account in order to move up in those particular engagement spans. And so when we look at this table down here at the bottom of the screen, it's going to show me all of the members that I'm scoring here within my engagement algorithm. But really what I want to show you here is that when I move over to the right-hand side of the screen, and so we're taking a look at their engagement activity total here. So what's the total number of points on an individual basis, and what are the activity types that they've participated in order to gain those points. And so what you can essentially do here is take that engagement level, right? Maybe narrow it down to people in the medium level, and start taking a look at what are the activities that they've participated in, and what's the total number of engagement points that they've got here. The other thing that you can do is maybe look at those who've had no engagement. So from a no engagement standpoint, this is going to tell us that, you know, these are people who haven't even opened a single email from your association, and they're going to be retention challenges. So maybe you start to figure out, okay, when we look at our community information, or we look at other information for people who are in this you know, low engaged category, what are like people, right? People who are like them, maybe people who are in 1 to 2 years of tenure, or are interested in a particular thing. What are they doing, and how can we start to encourage people who have this no engagement to also do those particular activities? You'll also notice that some of these have negative engagement points, and so there are activities that they can take also to kind of put them into that negative category as well. So that is basically what I wanted to walk you through today. I hope that gives you a better idea of how some of our clients are utilizing our platform to inform, to gain insights, and to predict what their members will do.
Many thanks. As mentioned, you may submit questions on the right-hand side. We do have a couple. Rob, the first question says, our email system and Google Analytics create quite a bit of data. Will that be a problem for Nucleus to handle?
Oh, so actually, no, because first of all, we're using this big data technology, so it basically can handle massive amounts of data. We have the system hosted in AWS, and from a licensing perspective, we do not change your pricing with regard to how much data you have. So we want to allow you to feel very comfortable to bring in all your data sources and experiment with it, and not be worried that you know you have data that might not be that useful. But we want you to bring in all of it.
Second question, how did you determine which visualizations come with Nucleus?
Well, so what we've done over time is we've built a baseline that goes with for each section of the system. So we call them packages. So we'll have, say, a membership package, an events package, a certification package, an advocacy package, so forth and so on, something for every part of the organization. And we worked with our clients over time to really hone in on what are the most important things that they want to look at, especially from the informative perspective. And then with each particular client, we configure the system so it makes it really tailored to them. And as a new client comes up with some really new, interesting thing that they ask, oftentimes we'll add that to the baseline, and then all the other clients will get it in very short order. All right, and Shepard, that's probably all the time we have for questions. So I want to thank everybody for being here with us today. Obviously, we went through a lot of material that we think would really help you in 2020 to get to know your members better and really gather a lot of great insight about them. So ultimately, you have a better relationship with them. And we will start a new round of webinars next year. And so we will make sure we get you invited to those. So we encourage you to join us then. And finally, we wish all of you an absolutely wonderful, happy holiday time, and to have a terrific New Year. So thank you very much.